Hi, my name is Natalia and I'm CEO at Chaos Architects. We are a startup based in Helsinki. And we are quite young, but I think we have been doing quite well, so this is why we're here. I'm going to speak a little bit about how to make resilient cities through the use of data. And I'm sure that we all are familiar with the concept of smart city. And now that our cities are growing more and more, it's more relevant that today we pay attention to what we are actually like the role of the city within the development of the city as well. And paying attention to that is going to lead us to resolve some wicked problems like poverty, climate change, inclusion of people, and so on. My background is in computer science and architecture, and I have been working in both environments. In Finland, I have been part of 3 areas, which is like public sector, private sector, and then academics. So I have a perspective on how difficult it is to actually integrate data or make research when it relates to cities and when you want to take decisions that are going to be affecting the built environment. It's very difficult to get data from there, like some sort of useful data. So as you were mentioning before, it's the data is siloed. But today, when we speak about the smart city, there's another issue that is that we focus too much in IoT. It's meaning cameras, sensors, objects like beacons, Wi-Fi's, etc. And we're forgetting one of the biggest trends right now, which is governance and people and crowding sites. And when we speak about people, also nowadays we find a lot of companies working with targeted advertisement. There's a difference for us when we speak about crowding sites, and it's direct communication with humans. So this is where we come from and where our vision realize is that we actually want to understand the market of the smart city by combining different sorts of data into a platform. Now, I also want to mention what is a mature city for us. And I believe that most of the cities right now are in the defined stage, where you acknowledge that there's a need for a smart city, or probably the city where you're living at has a smart city vision present and understands that we have to do something, and then let's brand ourselves as a smart city. And then the city starts realizing also, or the public officers, that we need open APIs, or like, for example, we have this case scenario of this conference, like we need data. So we need to open data to get more data and to be competitive as well, to find business models that are going to help us. But I think that we're still in the define section out of 5 levels. So what we're trying to do at Chaos is actually move towards the synergized city or smart city, sorry, that integrates public and private sector, but also citizens together. So stakeholders working together in a single platform, not only digital, but of course like together. And then also integrating data in a holistic set of scenarios or simulations and asking these kind of questions like, what if? What if we build a shopping center? What if we build a school instead of a library? What if we build another airport or metro? Or so these kind of scenarios. What if we change from electricity in this manner as wind powered? So as long as we are being in a defined level, then we are not able to move to the real business model that actually Open APIs brings to us, which is creating new value and understanding really that being competitive in the international market as well. So that's where we locate Chaos. And what we do is we are the smart expert, the smart city expert that combines data and human intelligence. And we decided to call it like that because we want the focus to be specifically in people and the creativity that comes for people. Now, our vision is to create more sustainable cities around the world. And our mission is to become the de facto smart city platform, powered through crowd insights. Now, this sounds like a very, very big, bold vision. And normally when we pitch this, we have been in different events, everybody's like, yes, but how do you do it? So this was a challenge also that we had. And we started understanding like what kind of data we have, what is the process that we actually or the processes that we want to create in order for people to participate as well, to be inclusive in their cities and to find this direct channel with leaders, with private companies, and so on. So we came up with LIVI AI. This is a robot. And LIVI focuses or understands different components of a smart city. So what we did is actually understand what livability means, and then what makes livable a city. And we understand and we brainstorm that, okay, we figure out that we are in 4 different categories. One is very simple, and I think you mentioned actually these, but we have different names. People, for us, people is demographics, growth, population, maybe even sentiments and freedom and sense of equality. So all the soft characteristics of people. Then also infrastructure, and this is mobility, which is mass, mobility as a service, or traditional ways of doing mobility or public transport. Then property, real estate, utilities, energy, etc. And then we went to nature. Okay, what are the resources that we have in the world and our ecosystems, and where do we get food from? What kind of environment do we have, etc. And then, of course, competitiveness. What makes you move to a city? Well, normally it's education, jobs, economy, etc. So these are the ones leading the livability index that we have. Now, our indexes can be used in different ways. If we think of commercial use, we are able to determine, for example, where someone wants to travel. So that's a commercial use. But then if I'm a politician and then I want to understand my decision, either I'm going to vote for a hockey rink or a library, I want to understand and trace the impact of my decision. So this is also useful for that. Then also we realized and we discover a segment where is a lot of consultancy firms taking data from different sites, from different reports, and then sending very long reports with a lot of text to their own customers. So we also realized that this is good for them because they just want graphics and heat maps and so on, and in a single platform. Then, of course, we have found a lot of interest in the real estate. So new players like the old ones, which are builders, constructions, but also new players like IKEA trying to invest also in real estate also find this information useful. And of course, like research studies that want to find, understand people overall. So basically, how we do it is that when we integrate different sources of data, you get analytics. So then that's it. Like we select the data that we want, we get the analytics. And then we apply our ML or expertise and then find the patterns. If a city builds a library, normally it becomes what? More sustainable or less sports-oriented or X, Y, Z. It helps in transport as well and other issues. But then we take a decision and say, well, if you add metro station here, the livability of that zone is going to increase because also the value of that zone increases. So this is how we train the AI. And we work, what we own is a process that turned out, or the data that turns out of these APIs, but we work with open and licensed data. License meaning that when we get customers or when we pay for it, then we can integrate. But of course, we're moving towards cities that have more and more open data altogether. Now, when we were doing this, we also faced 3 challenges, or 3 big challenges. And one of them was actually like, okay, there's a lot of data. Like, where do we start? This is like, we have had a lot of sessions where we have cried and thought like, why are we doing this? But then we also realized that, hey, we know how this is and we know how to get information and how to like fragment it. So then we started selecting what is more important for us. We're not going to go into details like, okay, what is exactly this floor plan saying? But let's start from very, very big, like an airplane view, and say that, okay, this region here, which has 5 blocks, it's 90% livable. So that's enough for us, because we understand also that it doesn't matter if we get very detailed, because it doesn't change anyways. So the big data is what we care about. So we started selecting. And then we defined the LIVI index. So what we did is actually like big matrices of like, what do you get when you get crowd insights, demographics, age, etc. And you put that together with transport. And what do you get when you put that with real estate, and so on. So we did a lot of matrices and selected indicators that provide us like with information on that. Then another big challenge that we had was like, how do we make this lean? So we didn't want to become another tool that is just for experts, because there's tools in the market that are only for experts. And you go into the company and you end up being the only one who knows how to use the tool. So then we want to be free for anyone. Why? Because if we want to become the data platform, the smart city platform, we need everyone to understand it and everyone to upload their data and run our algorithms. So what we did and what we're paying a lot of attention also is getting very, very good graphics. This is an example of crowd insights and how the creativity of citizens is being measured. But we just provide graphics and heat maps. That's all. And it's a basic query that you can get through Google, for example. Then the other one is like, how do we communicate with all stakeholders? So we have to be open. Because we're getting open data, we also need to be open. So for a B2C market, we are open, and we are having just like information for them to participate actively on the go, and for them to partner up with people that are like them, for example. This is something that we have heard constantly, like, I would like to find free information to know what my neighbors think about this area, and so on. So that we provide to a B2C market. This is free, so we don't get anything from that except data. And this is a tool that our customers, which is B2B, use. So this is a tool to communicate and poll and be right away in the feeling. So we use geofencing techniques, we use push notifications, and we use social media or psychology effects that provides. And then, out of that, then we discover that, okay, out of that we can offer this. Like, how do you play with LIVI, or how do you do this? Like, first of all, we sell chaos analytics. If you want a very, very simple version of our tool or of our analytics, is just like, okay, I want to understand how transport moves here. And then you just purchase a license, so we're a software as a service, and check that. And you can discontinue that on a monthly basis or annual basis, however you want. So we try to make it also very simple for our B2B market. Then we also do chaos forecasts, and this is like when you want to simulate. So we provide sliders and we provide maps that you can play with. So if you want to include a library again and then move 20 years, like the slider, and see how the population was like modified, and also the area based on other kind of data like political decisions. How did it affect? So we provide the what-if scenarios. And finally, of course, like the APIs that customers might want for us. So this is just a matter of setting like indicators and like opening them. Now, I think I'm on time. I think I had, yes, 5 minutes. But I want to end with a question here. And because this is a very complex topic, we normally get questions, how do you do it? How do you get that? And like, what else do you offer? Oh, this is so complex. What is in for me? So basically, if you can ask yourself this, what would you like to know about the future, about your future city? Would you like to move to another city? Would you like to travel? Would you like to understand the real estate market? Or would you want to vote for good politicians? All of these questions that relate to the future and space can be answered through LIVI. So if you're interested, like, come and talk to me after this, like I have some time. And also follow us in social media. We're very active on that. Thank you.